Okay, so welcome back to Voices in Health and Wellness. This is the podcast where we dive into honest conversation with practitioners, founders, and leaders shaping the future of care. I'm your host, Andrew Greenland, and I'm thrilled to be bringing you today's guest. Joining us is Matt Gluck, a long-time yoga teacher and the founder of Pransana Yoga, a London-based practice known for its deeply human and heart-centered approach to both face-to-face and online teaching. Matt's presence in the wellness space is rooted in decades of teaching experience and a real commitment to helping students connect inward, without overwhelm, without noise, just presence, practice, and peace. Whether you've joined one of his live classes, followed along on YouTube, or simply come across his thoughtful online presence, you'll know he brings something rare to the table: clarity and calm in a fast-moving world. I hope that's a fair introduction of you, Matt, and what you do. Please correct me if I've said anything which is
not
untoward.
At all. I'm impressed. I'm honoured and I'm impressed. Not with me, but with what you've shared there, what you've remembered, and thank you.
No worries. So let's start at the beginning. Can you maybe share a little about your journey and what led you to start Pransana Yoga?
Suffering. A life of suffering. I tend to fall back on a lot of the Buddhist and the Taoist teachings. I think suffering causes all of us to come to something like yoga, martial arts, alternative health. And I suffered as a young boy with really terrible asthma, chronic asthma and allergies, hay fever, eczema, but the main thing was really bad asthma. I was very fortunate to have a mum who was practicing yoga back in the 60s, who introduced me to what yoga is and how it could help me. And I never thought that I would, I didn't plan my path, which is so often the case. I just fell into it because I found that I had fallen into a life that was following the machine, and the corporate machine, and it wasn't for me. And so it affected me. I'm a very sensitive soul, and it affected me very negatively. And I realized that fortunately I had been doing martial arts since I was a teenager, and that was always in the background. And so I realized that I had something to fall out into, and I decided to teach martial arts professionally back in my late 20s. I'm now 57. So it's been a while.
Yeah, interesting, because there's a recurrent theme in doing these, having these conversations, that a lot of people have some kind of challenge, a health challenge or whatever, which drives them to go into this space. And you're not the first person that said that. I just find it an interesting pattern about, what you just said about the health challenges and the way that you've found this. And it just seems to be a recurring theme, and it's not just...
Indeed, I think you'll hear it again and again and again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does a typical day or week look like at the moment for you? Is it sort of teaching, managing the business, connecting with students, or all of the above, or anything else?
All of the above, and writing and self-practice. And the self-practice it's all important, but the self-practice is where it starts and how you maintain what you're doing. And there must always be some kind of self-practice. It's very easy to get lost in any machine. Once you start doing teaching professionally, whatever you're teaching, even if it's your passion, it's not true that you'll never have to work a day in your life. If you forget that it's your passion, it becomes a chore. So every day there's some form of self-practicing, meditation, and I do a lot of that on my own. I do a lot of it with my other half, Donna, and that's keeps one sane. And it basically, you're a channel, and it keeps you open to bringing in information that you need in order to be able to share useful information with people. So it's not all the information comes from outside, but most importantly, talking yogically is it's allowing information to flow from within.
So what's the sort of split with terms of sort of the teaching, the connecting, the self-care, and running the business for you at the moment?
do you say the ratio sort of percentage?
Yeah, that's the split. Just get some sense of how your week pans out in terms of where you have to prioritize and where you put your time.
I'd like to think I could say 50% me and 50% you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it tends to be more, I think the older we get, we become more selfless and we enjoy working and helping people more and more. So, you know, there's usually a few sessions a day and that changes from week to week. I do some school work, I do private work. So people are coming and going, people are going on holiday, people are getting ill, people come to see us because they're ill. So one week can be really busy, you know, and then the next week can be quite quiet and it's up and down. Every day, as I said, there has to be time for self. And then, you know, business side of it is something I've always enjoyed, the admin and keeping things together and looking ahead, you know, where are we going, pipeline, that kind of thing.
Got it.
I think a little bit, I try to juggle all of those plates a little bit every day.
And how long have you been in this space for altogether?
Professionally?
Yeah, professionally.
1996. Non-professionally, I started teaching very young because in martial arts we started teaching even before we were teachers. So I've taught since I was 20, which means nearly 40 years, and then started my own classes, and I've done that now for more than 30 years, I think.
Wow.
But full-time professional since 96, and that followed trauma. It was really, as I said earlier, it was because of grief, loss of my mum. I'd lost my father a few years before, and you just stop and you think, what am I doing? What's this all for? The big question, why? And I just thought, that's it. I looked to the thing that I knew I could rely on, and that was, you know, at that time, martial arts, and that pulled me back into yoga. That wasn't planned, but teaching martial arts classes, I was asked if I could teach some yoga, and I said, well, I've got experience from childhood, let's give it a go. And the yoga actually, it snowballed and took over.
So, I mean, you've been in this space long enough with that, for being doing this since 1996, to probably see a lot of change, and especially post-pandemic. And this is something I'm particularly interested in. And I just wonder what shifts you're noticing right now in how people are engaging with yoga, but perhaps wellness more generally.
How they're engaging with it.
How things changed. I mean, I'm particularly post-pandemic, because before this call, we were just alluding to the pandemic. But just interested to know what you're noticing and how people engage.
It's a difficult question. Nothing is coming immediately. I think one of the problems is the general thing that comes is that compared to the 90s and then the 80s and the 70s before, because we have internet, there is so much choice. And people are, therefore, it creates so much desire, and people don't know where to go, what to do, and how many reviews, and who's the best, which is the best website, and who's the best practitioner. So there's more confusion, and there's maybe less. It's talking very generally. There might be less commitment. Things have become more complicated, but they need to remain simple.
And is something you pick up when people are contacting the studio or contacting you to find out more information? Are you getting that sense of confusion or overload?
I get the sense that, yeah, people are overloaded, and they don't even know they're overloaded. They don't even know they're confused. They don't even know that their mind is distracted. You know, and I say this with respect to everybody because I'm part of that society. There is so much distraction that it's when we can understand that it's not about 100 different things and techniques, but it's about simplicity, and we've lost some of that. And that's where the kind of work we do, we try to simplify. And that's a lot for people's minds to grasp, because there's so much choice.
And with all that sort of confusion and so much choice, I mean, has that sort of impacted lead flow through your business? Is that something you've noticed? Because people can't make a decision, they feel overloaded, or they're just kind of forever shopping around or trying to find the perfect thing.
Yes and no. I mean, when I started teaching, there were far less teachers. There were far less male teachers. There was far less demand for yoga tuition. But obviously the world has changed, markets changed, there's so much more saturation. What I'm trying to say is that I never had to concern myself with how many students, where they're coming from. They just came. It was like, I'm going to teach a class and I'll put a flyer up somewhere, or I'll tell someone, and students just came. Maybe that was a bit of ignorance is bliss and beginner's luck. But as the years have gone by, more and more people are teaching, and people are asking more and more questions. And also with internet and YouTube, for example, that has impacted people like us, that has made things sometimes difficult, because a lot of people are happy to just get some tuition from YouTube rather than that personal from someone who's done it for a lot longer.
That's actually going to be my next question, asking about the digital offerings and what people are trying to do from their living rooms in front of a screen, and what you thought of that in terms of quality of experience and compared to what you...
For sure. It's very personal. People are different, and it depends upon their individual need. If I have someone living in New Zealand who relates to me, connects with me, and they've got some kind of disability or debilitating disease, as long as they connect, I can teach them. There is nothing like, obviously, face-to-face in the same room. But I was amazed when COVID arrived and we started teaching online. I was actually amazed at how much can be transmitted over the screen. The energy can be transferred. I was aware that students are consciously or unconsciously aware of when I'm looking at them. There is definitely an exchange. So it's really more about the individual connection than... They're just two different mediums, and they both work. For some people, for me, I love both. And for some people, they definitely can't do the online thing. For some people, it's perfect.
Interesting. So I was going to ask you whether you feel it's a challenge and opportunity for a business like yours, but from what you're saying, you're doing some of it yourself. But I just wondered whether it's reduced interest in the live lessons that you would otherwise do, and you're having to resort to this as another means of, getting people through the door, as it were.
Trying to think of an expression, don't have all of your eggs in one basket, and it's good to... I love teaching from home studio, and I also like to be out and about and meet people face to face. And I think that they both play a very important role.
Amazing. So looking at where things are now, what's working really well for you in the business of the yoga and the things that you do? What's sort of really... given the fact that there is all this sort of competition online and what have you, what's really working for you?
Being true to myself. So again, it refers back to your previous questions and my previous answers, is that it's about really learning to center yourself and spin your own spin, as I was taught many years ago by a great Tai Chi teacher. You need to understand that you are a planet, you're a star, and that you've got this gravitational force, and that you spend your time nourishing your own, what we call nourishing your own spirit and your own chi. And that then basically you radiate, you magnetize, and what you need, with some effort, of course, energy has to go outside, but things do come to you. And it's amazing how when you compare the difference between, thinking and worrying and planning and getting stuck in the next step and just being here, present, I'm going to do my practice. This is what's happening today. There's no bookings. I'll write. And then the following week, where does it all come from? It just all came out of thin air. And it always will come out of thin air. Mm. So we both of us here, it's about self-belief and trusting that you're part of something, you're part of an ecosystem, you're part of a collective consciousness. You're not separate. And so vibrationally, things come, things go. And we just trust that we've got what we need when we need it. And, that takes a lot of, especially since COVID, I personally went through a massive paradigm, if they call it paradigm shift. I used to travel around North London and Herts, 400 miles a week. I was traveling around a small circuit, teaching between 25, 30 classes a week, doing so much, doing. And then the pandemic, COVID, we were very busy online. But then after that calmed down, then the online thing calmed down. And I had to adjust myself to thinking about going back out into the what they call the real world out there. Mm-hmm. And it was a big shift for me. And I've really found my space, my center, I've been in my retreat cave for a while. It was good. It was heaven on earth really for us here. And I had to then get to grips with, going out again, but remembering what I found whilst I'd had all that time here, which is that we're living in a world where people are told everything comes from what you need. You're going to get it on the outside. But what we're teaching is, when we're true teachers, we're actually not going to put ourselves out of business, but I want to teach teachers. I don't mean that I'm teaching teacher training. I mean that a true teacher is someone who lets you self-empower yourself. So we've got information, we've got experience, and it's about sharing that to the community so that people essentially don't need us. That takes a lot of faith and a lot of trust in something higher.
Amazing. On the flip side, is there anything that's particularly frustrating or just plain energy draining in your business, or is your sort of self-care and your ability to deflect something that kind of sees you through?
Good question. And that's the day-to-day. You just have to, the word that comes there is mindfulness. I won't name a website, but the number of times that I've unsubscribed and I keep getting this stuff coming through, and it's not, we send out a newsletter to our subscribers once a month, but I get stuff every day, 2-3 times a day, and I can't unsubscribe, and it's infuriating. And you just have to learn how to manage your energy. And they say in Buddhism, that which arises passes away.
And don't let the spam get you down, eh?
Let it come, let it go, get on with it. What's next?
I think we're all playing.
People do get them. I hear every day, and I think we all hear, the amount of time we have to spend in erasing rubbish and dealing with rubbish. But that's part of it.
Yes,
embrace it.
Don't let the spam get you down. That's what I say.
No, absolutely.
Are there any sort of specific areas in your business you're trying to streamline or improve, whether it's operations, student engagement, or just freeing up more of your time so that you can do your self-care and keep yourself balanced?
We are, I think, within my heart, I know there's still a lot of work to do. I know that I've still got a lot of work to do. I still feel that I have a lot of people to reach. There's a lot of people we can help. The way that we work is slightly different from psychotherapy, from working with herbs, and it's not a niche, but we work with the yoga and Tai Chi, and my personal blend of both of them. I know that there are so many people who need mind-body workers like ourselves. So I just would like to, especially this is where online is amazing, that we know we've recently seen a resurgence in the online student attendance. I'm not talking about anything massive, but I'm talking about a shift in the curve, which reminds both of us here that the online work still, you can still reach the world, and that's what we're happy to expand now, because we've had such good training in working with larger numbers of people, smaller groups, one-to-ones, and so we just want to keep helping. It's not my only desire, is to help.
It's pretty amazing. I think all of us in this space are trying to do our best to help people and reach out. Really, really important. So if we fast forward, 6-12 months, where would you love to be with Pransana Yoga? What would it look like for you?
One of my passions and personal needs is to get a few of my books out there. Manuals and then books. It's more manuals on the practices. I've written a little bit. I'm still writing. Is to continue to write, because writing for me is it's a great healing modality, and I express myself very well when I write. So I hope that I can get some within the next did you say 5 years? Or a year?
6-12 months, just thinking short term.
I'd like to get another manual or two published, and to get that or those manuals to reach a much wider audience. And we teach workshops and retreats, as do most established yoga teachers. I'd like to be running more retreats. We do 2 a year. I'd love to be doing 4 or 5 a year, because it's fun. It's wonderful for us to be with our students. It's a really good way for people to deepen their practice. It's amazing at community building. Let's be honest, it helps our business as well. It helps to keep everything for us moving, flowing as a business.
Where do you have your retreats? Are they sort of locally, or do you?
Yeah, we do a UK one, and we try to do one abroad each year, and I'd like to double up on both of those at least. We've been to Europe, we've been further afield, and it's just, I was brought up, my parents were in the travel industry, so I've got that in my past, and most people love to travel. It's just mixing the travel with yoga and deepening your own practice and eating nice food and sharing that space with. Retreat space is something quite sacred.
It's real community, isn't it? Real community.
It is, and you build a certain bond that you might not ever see that person again, but if you it builds something inside. When people on retreats see each other again, my throat's getting dry. Cheers. It's very, very fortifying, nourishing, as was that tea.
Good. And if you could, sorry, carry on.
No, excuse me.
And if you could wave a wand and solve one challenge in the business at the moment, what would that be? And maybe you don't have any, but I just always put the question out, because usually we're all juggling with various things that affect business. What would that thing be for you?
The personal thing would be worrying about future business. That would be it. Which sounds like I'm contradicting myself, that I've maybe got very little faith and very little trust in something higher. But when the egoic mind comes, that's pretty much always what it's thinking about. I've had personal challenges because I've taught for so long, of wear and tear on my body. But that's something that's even not so much of a challenge as, I think, that survival instinct of, will I be okay? Will I have enough for the future? Especially as one gets older and there's more and more people being trained to teach. Having said that, we're in a business whereby the older we get, hopefully people recognize that you have more and more wisdom.
Matt, this has been such a rich conversation. I'm really grateful for your time this afternoon and sharing your journey so openly. People will really be interested and resonate with your messages and your approach to what you do. And this thing about self-care, I think, is incredibly important. You have a real strong element of looking after yourself so that you can deliver and help other people. And it's a real thing that you've kind of emphasized on this call. And I think it's a really profound message. But I really like to thank you for your time this afternoon. We'll put your details in the bio that will go up with this. If anybody wants to contact Matt or his studio, we'll put the information up. But thank you once again, Matt.
Likewise, Andrew. It's a pleasure talking with you. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. I'll switch the thing off, and it's just so stop recording now. It's just for me to thank you again for your time. Really interesting conversation. This is exactly what I'm looking for, really. Just people having an honest conversation with a fellow business owner, hearing about how you operate, the things that are you're dealing with at the moment, the things that we all worry about. I think it's really good information. So I'm really grateful. Thank you.
And I assume you can relate to a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things that resonate, and we always worry about where the next clients are coming from. We always worry about looking after ourselves in the face of all the things that we have to manage in a business and all the stresses that face entrepreneurs. So I completely get it. I just think I'm very impressed with your emphasis on self-care as your kind of your Teflon coating to try and deflect some of this stuff and protect yourself from all the things that stress does to in a negative way. And then you'll feel better.
Nice. It's very good to voice it, because of course it helps me to keep checking that I am walking my talk.
Yes, you can't. Yeah, you have to walk your talk in this game, because people will see through you if you don't.
For sure. Yeah.
So very, very grateful. So thank you for that. I will send you, as soon as I've got this up and running, I will send you all the links and things so that you can if you want to share it, you're more than welcome.
Thank you very much.
This is exactly what I'm looking for, and I'm really grateful for your time on a Friday afternoon.
A pleasure. Nice to meet you, Andrew.
Likewise. Stay in touch.
Cheers. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye for now. Bye-bye.